Hi everyone, today we're making a really delicious pan-cooked beef pie. This is a stuffed beef pie that can be cooked on the stovetop using a regular frying pan. It's very easy to make, but it's super delicious. We hope you try this recipe. I'm sure you will love it. The stuffing can be made with other ingredients like chicken, but here we have a delicious, unique, and original recipe for you made with beef. So let's have a look. So to start off, we need to make a simple spice mix for our beef pie. We just need to heat a few spices and powder this. For this, we need 1/8 of a teaspoon, that's a tiny piece of nutmeg. Now if you don't have the whole spices, you can use powdered spices accordingly. A small stick of cinnamon, like you see here. 1 green cardamom. 3 cloves. 1/4 teaspoon of black peppercorns, 1/8 of a teaspoon of cumin seeds. So these are our whole spices. Like I said, but if you don't have the whole spices, you can use powdered spice accordingly. So I'm just going to heat this in the microwave for 1 minute so that it gets toasted. You can also dry roast it in a pan. We're going to add this to a spice grinder along with 1/2 teaspoon of coriander powder and 1 teaspoon of mild chili powder. We're just going to grind this to a fine powder. So this is our spice mix that we have prepared for our beef pie. Set that aside. Now I have a large non-stick wok here. To this I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of oil. I use sunflower oil. To this we're going to add 2 medium red onions that have been chopped finely. And we're also going to add 2 tablespoons of finely minced garlic. So I'm just going to saute that till the raw smell of the garlic is gone. We also add 1 tablespoon of green chili that's been chopped. You can add the green chili to taste. If you want less heat, remove the inner portion, that's where the seeds are. So once the raw smell of the garlic is gone and the onion is nice and soft, we can add the minced beef. We're using minced beef, 300 grams here. Now I did rinse my minced beef lightly with 1 tablespoon of vinegar, and then I rinsed it lightly and pressed it against the colander to remove all the water. That step is up. So we're going to stir fry the beef in the sauteed mixture till all the water comes out and then the water runs dry. And then we're just going to fry it lightly. You will also notice that the beef tends to have a raw aroma, but once it's cooked well, once it's fried well, it'll lose that raw smell. And once you achieve this, you can add the prepared spice mix now, and we're just going to fry it again. Now reduce the heat to a low flame so we don't burn our spices. Just give it a good thorough mix. And to this we can add 1 small tomato that's been chopped. Stir this really well to moisten the fried beef. Now we can season to taste around 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Now it's beginning to smell really good. To this we're going to add 1/2 cup of chopped cilantro or coriander leaves. You really do need some fresh herbs for this beef filling. You can also replace this with parsley if you prefer. And at the very end we're going to add 1 teaspoon of tomato sauce or ketchup. This is just to give the beef a nice moist texture. It also adds some flavor. So that's our beef filling. We can set this aside to cool off a bit. Meanwhile, we're going to make the batter. This batter is going to be our crust as well as the topping of the beef pie. For this, we add 3 eggs to a regular blender. To this, we're going to add 3/4 of a cup. That's 175 ml of milk. Also add a 1/4 cup of sunflower oil or vegetable oil. And salt to taste. I added just a little less than half a teaspoon. Now we're just going to blend this till it's nice and frothy. And now we can add our flour. I add 1 cup of plain flour or all-purpose flour and half a teaspoon of baking powder. Blend this again, and you can see we have a nice thick batter. So now that our batter and the filling is ready, we can get started making our pan-cooked beef pie. For this, I'm using a regular non-stick pan here, but you also need an old pan or a skillet. Use something old because we're going to place the non-stick pan on top so that we don't cook on a direct heat. You need this indirect cooking so that the bottom of the pie does not burn. A heavy-based old pan or skillet is preferred. You can place this on the flame and preheat it for about a minute on a high flame. Then reduce the heat before placing the non-stick pan on top. Reduce the flame to lowest, and then we want to grease our pan with some vegetable oil here. And once the pan is greased, we have our batter here. We're going to pour about 3/4 of this batter, not all of it, but more than half of it. So set aside the remaining batter for later. And now we're going to cover this tightly and cook this on this indirect and low flame for 3 minutes. And after 3 minutes, you can see that the crust is partially cooked. It's not fully cooked through, but it's starting to set. So at this stage, we can add our beef filling that we prepared earlier. It has cooled down. To the cooled down filling, we want to add half a cup of shredded cabbage. It is better to add the shredded cabbage to the beef filling once the beef has cooled down. So we're just going to mix this through, half a cup of shredded cabbage and our beef filling. This makes it really tastier. So the pan's still on a low and indirect flame, so quickly add all of the beef filling over this layer. Just spread it out smoothly. You can just pat it to smoothen it evenly. And now you can pour over the remaining batter. Sometimes you might find that the batter does not completely cover the beef filling. In this case, there's a little bit of batter stuck on the blender. Perhaps just add a 1/4 cup of water to the blender and pour this over so that we've just covered our beef filling. The top layer doesn't have to be too thick. This way it's better when we eat it. It's not so heavy. Most of the batter should be on the bottom. And now we can top this with some garnishing. We have sliced capsicum or green bell peppers. Sliced it into nice rings here. Try to get as thin slices as possible, but you want to keep that ring shape. Garnish as you like, but the green bell peppers really are essential for this dish. We also have 1 small carrot that has been julienne sliced like this, small sticks. Just a small carrot. And we also have half of a tomato that's been diced. You can remove the seed portion of the tomato. We just want the flesh. And cover the pan now. We also add some cilantro, some chopped coriander. Now you want to cook this on a low and indirect flame just as before for about 20 minutes. Make sure the flame is at its lowest. You can always check on the progress every 5 to 6 minutes. So cover tightly and cook for about 20 minutes and just check occasionally. Use a flat spatula like this to slide under the sides to check how the batter is getting cooked on the bottom. Here we see after 6 minutes the top batter is yet to be cooked. And after 12 minutes, the top is beginning to set, but there's still one area that is still wet. When the batter cooks through, you can touch and it will no longer be wet and it'll be slightly bouncy to the touch. So we just have that one area that needs to be cooked, and now after 20 minutes, the batter has cooked through on all sides. You can see the crust from the bottom is slightly golden. And now we can invert our pie onto a plate first. You can see the color of the crust. It's just slightly crispy but still soft. Some of the beef filling will show through on the sides. And invert this again onto the serving dish. And our delicious, savory, pan-cooked beef pie is ready. This is absolutely delicious. You can serve it as a snack or at dinner time. We hope you enjoy this delicious recipe. Give it a try. Let me know in the comments section if you try the recipe. For more great recipes, visit recipesaresimple.com. Enjoy, and thanks for watching.